you know what that means. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Bloomington Arts Commission on March 8th, 2023. Thank you all for being here. I'm super excited to kick this meeting off by introducing one of our two new members. Everyone please give a warm welcome to Robert Shakespeare, our newest commissioner.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, Rob, thank you so much for joining the commission.
Yeah.
We very much look forward to working with you, and he will be joining Team Public Arts. And then not here currently, but hopefully will be arriving sometime later today. Maybe you ran into her last week, but Christina LM has now filled that the other vacancy on the commission, and yeah, we're operating at full capacity. So when she gets here, we'll make sure to give her a warm welcome as well. So with that, let's go ahead and turn things over to, oh, here she is. Hey, Christina. Hey. Everyone say hi to Christina.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah. I guess actually, I'll while you're here, I'll give Rob and Christina a quick minute or two to maybe introduce yourselves, say what you do, and why you joined the commission.
I'll go. Christina, I'm a local artist in town. I came to Bloomington to study arts administration, and so I was able to graduate from that program at IU. Yeah, so I'm here now. Right now I'm currently working as a registered behavior tech to work with kids with autism, and later on I want to work with art therapy. But I joined the Bloomington Arts Commission because I'm passionate about the arts as a local artist, and I wanted to get more involved.
Welcome.
Rob Shakespeare. I've been in Bloomington since 1985. I headed the MFA in Design program for the theater department for a number of years, retired from them 10 years ago, and I've been a very active public art creator in the world of lighting installations. So, very glad to be with you.
Welcome, y'all. I'm really excited. I think we all are. Welcome.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here.
Oh, and actually, I think maybe just for their sake, if everyone could go around quickly and say their name, and if they hold a position within the commission, that position. We'll go ahead and start with you, Chaz, if that's okay.
Hi, Chaz Bodinger, staff liaison for the city of Bloomington. I work with Holly, for Holly, love Holly, love arts, and I'm usually attend these. I do a lot of community building and community engagement, do artist parties, so kind of my role with you guys is just to help out Holly, and then also kind of do this outreach and events and provide artists with resources.
Cool. Hi, my name is Nick Blanford. I've been on the commission for about 5 years, one-time public arts chair, current secretary, and then my day job outside of this is I work for a secretly group of record labels based here in town.
I'm Gerard Honeycook. I'm the chair of the Bloomington Arts Commission, and I've been on the commission for about a year and change, and I work with the IU Arts and Humanities Council.
I'm Karen Hallett-Rupp. I've actually introduced myself to both of you. So, former IU person, retired, and painter.
I'm Paulie. I got to meet you last time, and yeah, I'm not technically on the commission. I'm doing a fellowship in the Arts Administration and Public Affairs dual program at O'Neill. So I'm in a fellowship with the Entertainment and Arts District. So I kind of just help support Holly and help support the commission with a lot of the projects that are ongoing. So I'm excited to be working with both y'all.
I know of a lot of successful people out of your program.
Yeah, good to know.
Hi, y'all. I've met both of you already, but Natalie Almanza. I'm the current chair of public art, former secretary for the BAC, and my day job is I work for the IU Arts Humanities Council, but outside of that, I am a camp coordinator for Girls Rock Bloomington and the chair of Bloomington Arts, or not this. I'm not the chair. That's you. Oh, this is how I announce. No, no. I'm the chair of Bloomington Gallery Walk. A lot of Bloomington gallery art things. The names, but yeah.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Ryan Malamed. I am not a chair of anything here. I'm on the grants committee, and otherwise I run Bloomington Early Music, which is a festival in May, and I'm a publishing consultant. I had a long career in academic and arts publishing, and then I quit. So now
Hi, I'm Elliot Josephine Layla Reichert. I am the chair of the grants committee, and I've been on the commission for 3 years, I think now. Seems like very much shorter than that, but I work at the Eskenazi Museum of Art as the curator of contemporary art. We have a lovely piece by Rob right outside of the museum, actually, that is well known in the community, so welcome.
I'll go ahead. I'll throw it to the folks online in the order that I can see you all. Babette, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm glad to see another painter here, and I'm Babette Ballinger. I've been on the BAC for I think about 3 years, and I'm both the grant and public art committee. I'm retired, a painter, moved here from New York, and have started an annual or maybe biannual event called Paint Bloomington, and whatever.
Rachel?
Hi, Rob and Christina. I'm very excited to meet you in person because right now you're just teeny tiny on my screen, so I can't quite see you. But I am a fourth-year PhD student at IU in the Department of Art History, and I'm this week taking my qualifying exams. So I've holed myself up with stacks of books tomorrow for the last exam, which is why I'm not with you in person, but I'm excited to see you in person next meeting.
Ooh, nice. All right, and Nia?
Hi, I'm Niab. Been on the art commission for about a year now. A year next month, I think. And I run Rose's Midwest Art Gallery. I'm an IU graduate and a sound engineer. I work at Orbit Room and other venues, some of which don't exist anymore.
And Holly?
Hey, I'm Holly. There. Did I just freeze? Okay.
You're good.
Am I unfroze?
You're good.
Okay, great. Okay. So I am the assistant director for the arts for the city of Bloomington and the primary staff liaison for the Bloomington Arts Commission. I've been here since September 2021, and it's always been a great honor to work with this group. I think we've got a great dynamic group right now. I'm so proud to be a part of this. I think we have the best commission in the city, and I'm so happy to welcome Rob and Christina today. Thanks, y'all, and I'm always here if you have any questions.
All right, thanks all, and welcome Rob and Christina. Holly, I'm going to throw it back to you for items 2 and 3 on the agenda, but let's start with the BAC. Oh wait, actually, you know what? I lied because that's wrapped into 2 things. We're going to do the minutes first. My apologies. Okay, so going over the minutes. So the minutes have been distributed and I'm assuming read. Are there any noted or needed corrections to the minutes? Okay, great. Then I'm going to go ahead and motion to approve the minutes. Can I get a second?
Second.
Wonderful. Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes, say, I always do this wrong. Say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. All right. I don't know why that trips me up.
Two Scottish words.
Yeah, A. I just want to do the good old A. All right. Okay. Yeah, right. That's you're throwing me off. All right. The minutes are approved. All right. Now, Holly, I'm going to go ahead and throw it to you to give us a rundown of our financials.
Okay, great. Just want to confirm, can everybody see the screen with the money on it?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, great. So I'm sure comes to no surprise. The money hasn't changed. So we have a total of $105,849 to spend on our 3 grant cycles this year. Go Grant Subcommittee. And in addition to that, we have some local income tax funds. We have $5,000 to allocate for workshops and things like that for emerging artist professional development activities. And we have $16,500 reserved for public art and grants. In addition to that money, that is really devoted to getting out to our community and bolstering our amazing local artists and our arts audiences. We have $3,461 and $65 in our operating funds. That is an account that we use to do things like hang out together, like the little excursion that Gerard is planning for us all, and we'll share more about this meeting. Happy to answer any questions about this budget. Again, I think you'll start seeing these numbers go down once the grant subcommittee meets to review the arts project grants and gets that money out starting roughly around May 2023 of this year.
Okay. Any questions or notes on that? All right, perfect. Okay, Holly, can you give us the staff update?
Yes, I'm going to talk about 3 things. So number 1, we had to give a huge shout out to Chaz. She has busted her butt for the past month to push the approval of closing down Kirkwood and getting parklets on the square for this summer on Kirkwood. So woohoo, go Chaz. We're very excited about this. This means that it'll be easier to have things like the Grand Balloon Festival approved. One thing that we're going to try this year that we didn't do so much of last year is like thinking about how we can do parklet beautification. What elements can we add to the closed streets of Kirkwood to encourage more gathering? Is it planters? You know, are we putting like little tables out for plein air groups to come and paint? So I'll be working with Chaz, Polly, and our small business colleague, Dee De La Rosa, to explore some of those options in the coming months. So we can hopefully roll out some of those trials before the end of the summer. So again, thanks so much, Chaz, for your amazing work with council. That was awesome. I wanted to share a couple other things. One thing I'm really excited about, because that we haven't really talked much about up till this point, because I wasn't certain if we were going to get the storefront. So I have gotten approval to use one of the storefronts in the 4th Street garage for an exhibition that will open next Friday, March 17th. So this is an exhibition that has been coordinated by a pop-up art group called One Drop. They are based in Indianapolis, but basically what they do is they go around the country and they curate exhibitions featuring works of emerging artists of color. So this exhibition that will open in the 4th Street storefront next Friday will feature both local artists, some of whom received our Emerging Artist Grant last year, as well as regional artists. So many artists from Indiana and also down in Kentucky. So we're really excited to do that. You might have seen there's been a little promotion going on in social media. If you follow us on the Bloomington Arts Commission Instagram page, we're really going to start ramping up promotion for these events. There will be opening events both on Friday and Saturday of next week. Look for some information coming out about that via email tomorrow or Friday, and then we'll continue blasting it next week as well. As you're seeing those communications, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. If you want to bring your student or your friends or your groups to come see the show, please let me know. We will have limited gallery hours for this show, but then the galleries will be open by appointment only. So super excited about that. And the third thing I'm going to talk about is one thing we've talked about some in this group, and also one thing we talked about a lot as we were doing the arts feasibility study with Trahan Architects, was the need of an online artist resource platform. So this is kind of like a one-stop shop for folks to come and say, I'm a new artist in town, where can I show my work? What grants are available to me? What commissions can I apply for? or I'm a parent, where are the classes that my child can take? So we were recommended by Trahan to create this web platform. And we are now in active discussions with both the IU Arts and Humanities Council and the Arts Alliance of Greater Bloomington to come together, share resources, and share people power to launch a beta version of this website by the end of the year. So as more details emerge for this, I will be happy to share back, but we're really excited to get going on this and just kind of hit a recommendation that we've been hearing a lot about in the past 12 to 18 months. So thanks, that's all I've got today, y'all.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Holly. Okay, so moving on to agenda item number 4, some commissioner feedback for the revised public art master plan. So we're now going to move on to a discussion of the master plan. My hope for today is kind of similar to what we did at the last meeting with the bylaws. Document is to sort of go over any questions, talk through any issues, and then we're going to vote on the plan so that the Public Arts Committee can move forward with making it public. So I think before I open things up, I'm wondering if either Natalie or Holly, and I guess Nick, I'll loop you into this as well, because I know that this master plan has been a task for the last few years. If any of you want to open the discussion with any notes or providing any context for the group.
Oh man. I mean, not necessarily any larger context beyond. I think the main goal of the edits that we've done recently and the point that we're at with it right now is to make sure that we are providing a very like all-encompassing view of public art in Bloomington and what that means. So just trying to add, as you can see in the document, there's various points where there's photos or examples, and in those we've tried to just add some points that are showing that public art can be more than just a sculpture in a park or a mural on a wall. And I think that this version of it really has the most examples of that, and I think that's one of its strong suits. I also just have been, I came in on the end of this after it was like pretty much getting polished when I got into the chair role. So I can't necessarily speak to the earlier drafts, but I think right now, after reading it through and reading it again before this meeting, it feels to me very, very complete and at a good point to make this public for folks. And we've had a lot of eyes on it. So with that said, would love to open up to any comments or anything else that folks think should be added to it or that might need to be clarified.
Okay. Sure. Yeah. Let's. Unless Nick or Holly have anything to add, let's go ahead and open up the floor to discussion.
I just have a simple question. Do you have, whoever is finalizing this, do you need more photographs? Do you have photographs? Is there a place, or I know I don't know, I had a lot that at one time I had gone around taking, so I don't know what to do with those or if any of them are still viable or valuable.
Yeah, I guess. Oh, sorry.
I can answer that if that's okay.
Yeah.
So Bryony is still our designer on this, and she's been given the heads up that this is heading her way. For the photos, we've got a couple of options. We do have some additional photos that we can plug in there. We also have the option of spreading out the existing photos across the document now, so just making the photos bigger, basically. Also, Babette, if you do have images though, I would love to just have those just as collateral that we might share for future things if you're comfortable with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Okay.
you want me to just try to put stuff on a disc or whatever, or?
Yeah, whatever's easiest for you, we can work with it.
It doesn't matter to me, whatever.
Okay.
I
I'll
say,
send you an email about it.
okay, great.
Yeah, just a quick note for context, like there is like a draft of this document that is designed and looks really nice. We just had some edits to some of the language in there, and so that's why we didn't share that version with you all, because we wanted to share the content, but the way that Brian Eves put it together, it looks pretty slick. So.
Yeah, I'm sure she's doing it. It's terrific. Yeah, good.
I was gonna just ask a technical question about the photos too, because if there's a way to open up something so that it's not actually functioning like it's supposed to, I will figure out that way. So my question was, when I click on where it says, like photo here, and if I click, like I don't have access to see those, but so nobody else can see this document with images, is that correct? Or am I do you guys see actual photos when you open it?
I don't.
Okay, perfect. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anything, and I fully trust Brian's design.
This isn't a question or a concern, it's just a compliment. The glossary is excellent. My God. No, I just, glossaries are not, they're not very sexy, but they're very important for understanding of terms. And it's extremely thorough, and the particular definitions, including some more challenging ones around like displacement and art washing, I think are just really excellent. Yeah. So.
Well, this is really exciting to be this far. That's all I have to say.
Maybe a question for the Public Art Master Plan folks is, was there a particular area of the plan that was especially challenging to work on? Like something that required more scrutiny?
I think I'll let folks who are still on the committee speak to like the recent revisions and discussion. But I think because this has been in progress for a couple years, and was slowed for a lot of reasons, part of it turnover on the commission. But I think when we looked at the previous version of this document, the couple things that jumped out is we wanted to incorporate more of a practicality to it. And so, so we identified like the need for a toolkit, and the glossary, I think is part of that. It's one thing to pontificate about purpose and make mission statements and whatever else, but to actually hopefully give people something to engage with, and sort of know what to do, with an urge to create, or just how to get involved in a process, or just someone walking down the street is like, how did that get there? You see public art, it's like, who decided that, or what are the mechanisms that led to that? I think taking a really practical approach was a big part of it. I think maybe the one philosophical thing was I think the observation that like a lot of the language from the BAC maybe in the past was very almost like insularly locally focused. I think it's good for us to uplift local artists, but I think one concept we tried to incorporate in there was the idea of cultural exchange with other communities and artists in the region, or even artists from out of state. And the idea is that if you embrace the idea of import, it gives you a road to help with the export of art from Bloomington. And so I feel like those were like two big talking points at the beginning that hopefully are still in there. So like I think you showed out the glossary is amazing. I think maybe Holly and Chaz were responsible for a lot of that, or at least Holly might have been responsible for a lot of that. I can't remember, but yeah, I don't know.
I think it was actually a previous. I think that might have been Essence.
Okay, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, because that was there.
Okay.
And what Brian indicated was that was just a true just triumph and a lot of work to do. So it's great.
I'll also note a big thank you to Suzanne, even though she's not on the Public Arts Committee. She sort of helped me look through the document and add some language that I think made a more inclusive definition of public art, and sort of like included, you know, things like performances and screenings and things like that. So, yeah, thanks, Suzanne.
Yeah, I like that bit about how they would go about using a space at like one of the stages, because I know that even just like a lot of the chatter online about like, especially like even Switchyard Park, is that there's like the sense that it's kind of underused. So I think, you know, even just kind of looking at like where people will want to go to know how to engage and use some of those spaces. I see how the table of contents, you know, still has to, I imagine the page numbers will be filled in once the pictures are there, so that makes sense. But I imagine that might be like the public art toolkit especially might be like one of those things that will really be like the first thing people will go to when they, if they happen upon it, or if they're curious about knowing how to get involved in putting in public art, that they know to look to the public art master plan. So I think maybe some more signage along the way that will direct people into that will be help make it, you know, really have legs.
Yeah, I agree. Advertise that it's there and advertise what public art is in the first place so people realize maybe what they're hoping to do would qualify.
I think the previous version is linked off of our website with the city. Is that right? So it would this one would replace that one then.
Holly, I think that's a great idea. Just thinking about, you know, can we put signage up around, you know, public art as it exists now that says, want to do something like this? Want to see this on your block? Snap this QR code. You know, I think another thing we're going to be doing, and Natalie and Christina and I have kind of talked about this. We'll meet about it more in depth, and anyone else who wants to help us is welcome to join. We've talked about doing a more concentrated outreach plan, reaching out to our colleague over at the Housing and Neighborhood Development Department, making sure she's helping us get the word out to all the associations, the groups she works with, and then seeing if we can get in front of some neighborhood associations and other groups just to kind of go over this plan with them in more detail, to let them know that we're here as a resource if they want to do something in their neighborhood.
Holly, who's your contact there?
It's Angela Van
Okay.
Roy.
Okay. Oh,
Van Roy.
Okay. That's perfect. You know what? I guessed, but didn't want to assume that that's who that was, and I believe she's actually going to be at the upcoming First Thursdays Fest. So I think working with her to, in addition to the things that she's going to bring to the festival, if maybe there's a way that she can be sort of like a city rep in a sense, and have this there as well. And I don't know if necessarily she will feel comfortable like talking about this, but maybe we can have some sort of way to let people at the festival know about this.
That's awesome, thanks. And I think maybe, you know, since like we typically have a table there now as well, maybe it's a matter of also just recruiting an extra volunteer or something just to come help support her as that. And
Yeah, bringing that up, I will be out of town that day, so I was going to partner with Angela to do that. So maybe later we can talk about, because the forms would be due on Friday to have a table, so maybe later we can discuss if anyone wants to do that.
There's a little.
No. There's a little bit of flexibility. Do we know the people who
need it? I know a guy. So that's
Yeah, I was originally going to be there, Holly, but not anymore, so.
that's totally fine. We'll work it out. We've got a team.
Okay. Well, do we have any other notes or comments or suggested edits for the plan?
So in my brief glance here, is there anything about zones or regions, or is this just a generic look at our whole community in this plan? Because often plans are pointing to areas that might be underserved.
I wouldn't say that there's necessarily like a specific like place highlighted in here. I think it provides a lot of options for folks to like, it gives a lot of examples of places that could have public art and like could host it. So there is one section that says like you know, like, where is it down here? It says like different walls or like sidewalks or things. It kind of more outlines in that way, and then it outlines also more specifically how the types of, so the like 1% for the arts versus like a public-private partnership versus the neighborhood associations using it. So I think it is more broad in that sense, instead of targeting specific spots for it, but I think that helps make it a little more accessible too in some ways. Yeah.
Not identifying an art desert, but if somebody in an
Yes.
art desert really wants something expressive, you know, they
Yes.
can use the document to advance it, right?
Totally.
Good.
And there is one, I like, particularly like these parts that are in here. Again, once I got to see this, it was in the very late stages, so I haven't made many, I can't take credit for any of the edits in here really. But what I like about it is there's parts that are just like, I want to see permanent public art in a specific area of town. And then it walks you through like the steps that you need to do and who you could contact and how to get it in. And there's various prompts like that. So someone could theoretically pick this up and find what their scenario is and see the exact steps that they need to go about doing it. And the language feels really accessible to me too. And I think that was one of the things that I liked about it most.
But I do think it's worth mentioning that this concept of identifying areas in town that might be underserved or there might be an art desert, it is something that the Public Art Committee has talked about before. It's something that Babette has been very proactive about, you know, as far as identifying what's in the city's collection right now, what exists, and then, you know, allowing that to help guide us on future decisions.
Okay, another call for any notes, comments, or suggested changes?
I like how comprehensive but also flexible it is. I feel like that will help really allow it to permeate and kind of be a catch-all for a lot of different ways to engage the public.
Oh, question. Is there like a public rollout for the plan? Like, in terms of making people aware of it?
Yes, there is a plan for the rollout that we've talked about a bit, but essentially rolling it out in a few phases, and I think we really want to capitalize on some of those like events, like a First Thursday or places where we can really like get out into the community and host or table events where we can like show and talk about it. But yeah, and then also getting some social media graphics together to promote it that way as well.
All right, excellent. Well, if there aren't any other comments or suggestions, then I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to vote to approve this public arts master plan, to make it public. Can I get a second on the motion?
Second.
Nice.
Wonderful. Okay, I'm gonna say the vowel right this time. All right. All in favor of approving the public art master plan, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay.
Aye. That was an aye, not a nay.
All right, the public art master plan is approved. 3 plus years, 3 years of work. Yeah, big,
Well done.
Yeah, big credit to Nick, Natalie, Holly, the commissioners and committee chairs that came before. Pour one out for them. Yeah. All right, that's excellent. This is really exciting. Okay. All right, moving on to updates from the subcommittee chairs. Throwing it back into public art land. Natalie, can you please give us a public art update?
Sure.
Well, the public art master plan was just approved, so that's really exciting. We've got that. And then we had a really great meeting on Friday with some engineers, city engineers over at who are working on the Hopewell neighborhood site, and we got a really comprehensive view of what the site is looking like. They showed us some 3D models, and we just had a great conversation about what potential art can go in there. So I think next steps with that are that our next meeting, we're gonna kind of go through some of the ideas that we talked through there, and some of the, I'll give a little sneak peek of some of the things that we're talking about, but potentially lighting installations, maybe some suspended artwork mounted onto poles, maybe some sculptures, a lot of room to play around there. There's a lot of great opportunities, and we're really grateful to have that opportunity to be in on the ground and to get some feedback over their way, and to also just be a part of this process and to put some new art in that space. Like a lot of things public art, this will happen many years, or not many years, but years down the line. So it was like, it was like many, actually, many does feel right. So, it's going to take a bit of time.
They were actually saying that 2025 is when things would be starting, so.
So there's some time there, but again, happy to.
I've lost the sound.
Oh, no.
Me too, Bebe.
Yeah, maybe something's unplugged. I'll put it in the chat room.
Can you?
I just texted Chaz. I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah.
Now they're all looking together.
Everyone
We
yell.
can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you all.
We can hear you now. Well, I can. Rachel and Vivek, can you hear? And Nina?
Now we can.
Can you hear?
Yeah.
Hear now?
Yeah, it sounded like something
Yeah,
came
I can.
unplugged before.
Chaz fixed
Yeah.
it.
Yay.
I touched the computer and now it works.
Cool. Well, yeah. So we'll spend our April meeting kind of talking through the ideas of that installation, or of the potential installations, and getting a list together. And we're really excited to have Rob and Christina join that group. But yeah, that's, I think, our biggest update. Everything else we're moving along. I think I'll pass on extra updates for today, if that's okay.
And Natalie, do we have a firm date on Rogers
Oh,
on the Go Farm?
On the opening, or the ribbon cutting. Holly, can I throw it to you? I
Yeah, we do not. I actually this afternoon I connected with Tim Street from the Parks Department to just kind of get an update on where they're at as far as their rewilding of that space, connecting with Jonathan Rasek, our artist, of where he is and installing. So hopefully in the next few weeks we can get something on the books and start planning that collaboratively with them. But no solid date at this point in time.
Okay, I'll send both of you an email about just a couple of the plein air groups. We're thinking that they could, if it's an appropriate time, that they would love to come out and do plein air that day or something out there or whatever.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Or maybe if we have the time, we can announce that I'm paying Bloomington, have the kids come out too. We'll see.
Cool.
So when we have the date, I think it'd be kind of fun. It's a fun place to do something like that.
Totally.
All right. Thank you, Natalie. Elliot, give us the grants update, please.
Hey everyone, your friendly neighborhood grants chair here. We have been spreading the word, the gospel of grants. On February 21st, we had a really good kickoff info session. It was our first in-person info session since COVID. Holly, myself, and Gerard were there on behalf of the BAC, and there was a solid public audience. I did not count heads, as well as an online presence, which was, I think, really great. I think in the future we'll continue to do these public hybrid kickoffs. So it seemed like people really benefited from seeing their peers, their colleagues in that space, and learning from each other's projects and interests. We debuted the new grant software at that meeting. Props to Chaz. getting it off the ground. Really excited to use it on the back end for evaluation. So we can talk about that.
Do you want me to show it to everyone?
Yeah, why not? Let's do that. And I think we will pretty soon have to have a kind of, if not in next week's meeting, maybe in next week's meeting, we can do a little tutorial for the reviewers, for the committee to see what it looks like on the back end in terms of how it will change how we review. It will help streamline the assigning and randomizing of the assignments, and access to forms. It will really save us a lot of time on compiling the grant materials. That is like the process where we go from the Google form to the Google folders that everyone accesses. It's quite a pain in the ass to do that, so the robots do it for us now. Yeah. So this is the public-facing aspect of it, right? Yeah, lovely, pretty straightforward, and it's just a great series of modules inside. Let's see what else. Awesome. Chaz, let's talking about that in our grants committee meeting sometime soon. And Holly and I also were asked to sort of represent a version of that, of the grants info session at IFL last Saturday. So we met with a smaller group there, talked with them for a while. Definitely kind of time and labor intensive, but worthwhile in terms of meeting more people face to face. And the project grants are due March 31st, and we'll be going from there. Our grants meeting next week, I have a few things I want to address. If there's time to talk about the back end, we can do that. Otherwise, I want to talk a little bit about thinking about the reporting end, now that we have the application end restructured to a certain extent. What do we want for our successful grantees to report back to us? What kind of image, collateral, sound, video, whatever, what kind of questions do we want to ask, budget, numbers, whatever, and how do we make it accessible and quick and easy so people will just kind of be able to bang it out at the end without a lot of labor. The idea being that we want really good data on our impact and really good like image collateral and other kinds of collateral to show what we're doing. So look forward to that, think about that. I'll be sending an agenda a couple days in advance of that meeting. I think that's all for now, but
I'll just update that we have almost 30 people who have applied or are applying on the system right now.
Wow, that's incredible.
26, I rounded up.
Great, that's good to hear. Yeah, that's a good amount for projects grants, especially this early.
Yeah, they're not.
You see the fear in your eyes.
I will say only 2 submitted. You can see like what stage they're in. So some of them are they haven't quite submitted yet. But.
It is quite an endeavor getting this stuff done.
I feel like I see new names, so that's good.
Yeah.
So from my newcomer perspective, this is an open call for proposals.
Yes.
Identifying where and what without any particular bounds to it.
Oh no, there are many bounds. So it's a great question. So there are 3, this year we have 3 grant cycles. Each cycle targets a different kind of grant and a different kind of need. The first grant cycle that we're currently in is the Arts Projects grants. So these are grants of up to $4,000 to either individuals or groups that do not have to be registered nonprofits to produce a project in the arts that is public facing. That can be anything from a concert, workshops, performance. It could be an exhibition, things like that. In the summer, we'll have the operations grant cycle. These are for 501c3s, and it's up to $5,000 towards just general operating costs for the organization. That while the eligibility is more restricted to 501c3s, the use of the money is much less restricted. It can be used for any purposes within the organization's fiscal needs. And in the fall, we will be doing the Emerging Artists Grants. That's $2,000 capped for individual artists or groups of artists who collaborate together to advance their professional practices in whatever compelling way they see fit. That could be, again, some public-facing exhibition-y thing. It could be materials. It could be studio space. There are quite a lot of different applications for that.
Thank you, very
Yeah.
comprehensive.
Oh, thank you. I got it down. Yeah, I've been going around. So yeah, thank you for asking that. I forget now. I'm so deep into it that I'm starting to speak the language, you know. So yeah, that's all I've got. Happy to take any more questions. Cool.
All right, Joey. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, a couple things from me. So first note is commissioner get together. So thank you all who filled out the doodle poll. It's looking like we couldn't find a date that works for everyone, so I'm going to ask, without like kind of shy of details right now, that we hold just two, if you can, hold 2 blocks of time. So one will be maybe just something really informal after the next meeting. That seemed to be a good time, which is April 12th. So maybe sometime after that, maybe we just go out somewhere nearby and do something. That seemed to work for a lot of people. And then the other time is Friday, April 28th, sort of after the workday then. If you could just hold that time as well, I'll work on getting something together and getting more details to you. And Christina, I don't know if you got that, if you got this doodle poll, but I'll make sure to send it your way.
Okay.
And if you haven't submitted your availability for this yet, please do.
So you said the 12th and the 28th are looking good right now, or
Yep.
no? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. April 12th.
Okay.
I don't remember there being evening things. Maybe I did the wrong poll.
Yeah, I looked at the different
I thought it was
polls.
like noon to 2 or something.
Oh yeah, mine were also like noon to 2,
Wait,
which means I
what?
probably had my settings off.
Oh no.
No, yeah, that was mine too.
Doodle is
Oh
weird
wait.
like that.
Yeah, my times are in Zurich.
yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh my gosh. Oh yeah. Oh no. Y'all.
Yeah, it's like it's like, okay,
What?
I mean, I can do it, but I don't know about
Like,
How did that happen? Okay. Well,
Let's have a new poll.
I'll send out a new poll. That's, unless y'all want to go hang out
Thing
in,
sounds like more fun.
in Zurich. Yeah, we can go do that. Man, that's embarrassing. Okay, well,
No,
all right.
I've
So
done
scrap
the
all that.
same.
I'll.
Yeah, I've
I'll
done that before
I
too.
should have known that was it too when I saw the weird times.
Okay.
I just thought y'all were pretty weird.
I just
Well,
thought, okay.
That notwithstanding.
I liked.
I wouldn't rule it out, but okay. All right. Make notes myself. All right.
Although wants to
Send
breakfast for
send
me.
it to me to the poll. Never been to Zurich. Okay. All right.
How would that happen?
I don't know.
I mean, I've had that happen sometimes if you're actually traveling there and then it gets confused and thinks you live there
Yeah.
and you come back.
It's
but-
just like a default time zone, right?
I went to Portugal for like a week, but I don't know why.
No,
I didn't use
that's-
Doodle while I was there.
It always sets it in a
So,
weird
anyway,
time
okay.
frame, so.
Well, disregard that. I'll be in touch. But I'm gonna do the poll. Okay, something that I feel a little more confident in bringing to the group is, so the Bloomington, or the Arts Alliance of Greater Bloomington, sort of in partnership with the Waldron Arts Center, are going to be putting together a mayoral candidate discussion about the arts. This is going to take place at 5:30 to 7 Eastern time on April 11th. And the plan there is Gabe Gloden, the one of the directors over at Constellation, is going to be moderating a sort of like a Q&A with the 3 mayoral candidates. The candidates are going to give an opening statement. He's going to ask each of them 2 questions, and then they're going to give closing statements, and then there's going to be some time for the audience who is there to also ask some questions as well. So 2 things as it relates to this commission is, one, I'm wondering if right now either like we can think through some questions that we might want Gabe to consider in for his part of the moderation. Also, I mean, if maybe something comes to mind shortly after this conversation as well, like maybe tonight or early tomorrow morning, I think they want to get these questions to the candidates relatively soon.
Yeah, last time with the city council, they had something like this, and they just gave you a piece of paper and you wrote the question, and I can understand why they'd want to have it in advance, so
Well,
they can actually think about
yeah.
it.
So okay, so to
Right.
provide a little bit more clarity there, the commission has been asked to help Gabe generate his list. So that's what I want to talk through right now.
Okay.
There will also be
On the spot.
on the spot. You'll fill out cards and submit, and then those will be, I think, sort of checked and then and asked as well. So like so there will be a sort of a mechanism for the audience to ask questions on the day. But I think our job as a commission right now is to give Gabe sort of like what maybe should definitely take priority in the questions that he asks the candidates. So that's one, and we'll turn to that quickly, and then the
Gerard?
yes.
What coming from the point of view from the Arts Commission, what would our ask be for the next administration?
Cool. I don't know that, yeah, I mean, we're here to provide.
I mean, I can think of a bunch of them, but what is appropriate
Yeah,
from the
well,
Arts Commission? We're looking for a place for a home for the active art community here.
Yeah, I guess I don't mean so much as like commission specific questions. I just mean us as people who have a good sense of the broader needs and kind of like what's going on around in the art scene. What are some things that we have noticed as commissioners that would be good to get the mayoral candidates' perspectives on? Not necessarily like the Arts Commission wants this, like.
Yeah, I can see that.
Does that make sense?
Like getting a sense for their maybe history and
Right.
perspectives and experience and attitudes toward things rather than.
Right.
Yeah, as like representatives of the community.
Right. Yeah. So I guess I'll open up the floor a little bit right now just to start maybe thinking of some things that we might want to put on this list. Jess?
Well, for instance, to get you all thinking about this, I mean, the current mayor did increase grants funding from 20K to 40K. So I think like a very appropriate question would be, would you be willing to like extend the funding, right? I mean, like that doubled grants funding in the city of Bloomington, which was really cool. So I think like asking a question like that, like, do you support increasing arts? I don't know how to ask it, but you know, like that's just something that did happen. So it's just an example of like what we can try to advocate for, because you know the 2 things the commission does, public art and grants. So I think that falls under grants. Like, how do they feel about arts?
Well,
and
commit to
increasing?
continue and agree to look into increasing
That being like a
the money
BAC,
for grants.
that being
Yes,
like a
that's what I was
BAC
gonna say.
specific question.
I mean, I guess it doesn't have to be
But,
BSC, but I was just
yeah.
saying, like, that's the current mayor did do that. You
Yeah,
know, like,
yeah,
he did
yeah.
increase it, so I think
Yeah.
that would be willing. I don't know how to ask it, but I'm just
Yeah,
throwing
it's
it
a
out
good
there.
question.
I think you ask it very pointedly.
I think it would
I
be
mean,
like,
Okay.
These people are asking.
I don't know, like,
Go ahead, Nate.
I don't think it would be too out of left field to be like, first off, do you believe that, arts funding is adequate? And second off, are you willing to increase it or whatever? Like, based off of their answer, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, and like, obviously, their first answer will answer the second answer, in a sense. But at the same time, even if people don't think it's adequate, like, they could also be like, but I don't want to put more money into it either because we're already constrained as is. So that, it's just like, I feel like there's a lot of different ways that we could word that or whatever, but I think it's like the main thing we need to be asking them is like, is it adequate? Like, what do they think it's, the government is doing enough to, foster growth within the arts community?
Yeah, I think you need to go beyond that. If that's the place that you're going, I think you need to ask more than, do you think it needs to be increased, but what types of ways do you think that could happen? Because it's very easy to say, oh, yes.
Yeah, of course.
But,
Yeah, I think maybe the way to put it is to be very pointed and say, are you willing to commit today to no reductions to current arts funding? And what are the areas or policies or whatever in which you would consider increasing, like for their funding? So you get them on record, at least with the first part. And then I think the other thing that sort of connects to this is going back to like statements that previous council candidates have made, council members have made, and I think they've learned from this, but there have been points in the past where the arts have been brought into conversations as if it's like an either-or sort of thing. And so I'd love to see a question that actually kind of gets at that and sort of says like, hey, are you prepared to, whatever, maintain, the city's current support for the arts and allow that to grow without that being in conflict with other city initiatives or other city budget questions? Because
it's like, well, the arts are important, but when this happens, this is obviously more.
Yeah, because I think that's like I think the more you can make it like a really clear litmus test, it gets people beyond I love the arts, I love Cardinal, I love whatever, I go to stuff and it's great that you all do this, to what are you willing to like back it up with?
I wonder, if another approach that would be just asking the candidates to articulate what role they think arts plays in like a city,
They hit them up with something hard. The Waldron is going to expire during the 5-year plan for the Waldron will expire during the next mayor's term. So ask if they're committed to continuing it. That would be kind of, and also what are their plans for how do they feel about the convention center and the responsibility to do something for the arts in the convention center? Those are pretty solid things. And the third question I would have is, with all the builders who are coming in and building these monstrous apartment buildings, etc., have they ever thought about putting in an ask for some space to be used for community space, for small groups, for practice, concerts, anything else that would be for the community, rather than just continue to build to take up all available space with these monstrous buildings. We don't have to say that monstrous.
I wouldn't say it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just
Yeah, we can.
Okay, these are all great. I've taken all these notes, and I'll work on sort of synthesizing and maybe also working on trying to provide like the appropriate level of context, maybe in the run up to these questions. Like currently, the city the city provides X number of dollars through BAC, like blah blah blah.
Michael, do you assume they know these things? Like how familiar?
I don't know.
I don't know.
They might know.
I can speak about this better than I can, but I've been at meetings with all three of them. These are pretty sophisticated. They know, they have definitive opinions about it, have expressed generic opinions about it, and everybody's greatly in favor of the arts. What that's going to trickle down to or trickle up to is what, remains to be seen.
I think it's worth providing the context.
But they're not naive or.
Yeah, for audience members.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a ton, but I'll work.
Yeah.
I'll work on trying to say something smart.
Yeah, I like the very broad questions and also the very specific ones, because anybody can say, yes, arts are my first priority, but
Right.
but then what are you
Yeah, 'cause a room
specifically
full of
gonna do?
artists.
Yeah, right, and also Elliot's question about like the function of art, do they think it's window dressing and very pretty, or do they recognize that it increases,
Economic
social
development.
bonding,
Yeah.
civic
Yeah.
pride, all these things?
Quality of
Sure.
life.
Yeah.
economic
That's a good question.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
Elliot's, not mine.
Yeah. Actually, was
I think it's
I
refined
think it would be important to bring up the fact that anytime I'm speaking with someone in the community, and Elliot and I experienced this on Saturday, is where is the space for art? Where is affordable space for art? So I would be interested to hear just, what projects what programs could they institute, not just to make studio space and music practice room space affordable, but what other programs are they thinking about instituting in Bloomington to make it an affordable place for an artist to live, so we're not losing our artistic talent. We have a great history of arts and culture here, but what are we doing now to make sure it stays that way?
Yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
I think we might also consider, you said you work with autistic children in art therapy, and would they be interested in programs, expanding programs that do have direct impact on people with disabilities or marginalized
Lost the
communities?
sound again.
I wasn't saying anything interesting, don't worry.
Can you hear us now?
Oh wait, can we hear you? Can y'all hear us?
We can hear
Yeah,
you.
we can.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
You can hear.
think that
I think
Oh.
maybe one of the microphones isn't working.
maybe.
It's this.
Oh, this
These
thing?
are cats. This is how they hear us.
Oh,
okay.
It's confusing.
Yeah.
It's kind of
I
further
always
from
forget.
you, so.
Easy for show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Based on what's come up so far, I'm wondering also, like, there's, and sort of in working with the council and some of the conversations that we've had recently, it's come up that, like, this use of, like, the arts is sort of like a creative way to, like, problem solve, like, broader issues. Like one example I think that keeps getting brought up in conversations is how, like, I think it was Bogota, like, started using mimes to sort of, like, monitor, like, pedestrian traffic, and the number of, like, traffic pedestrian accidents, like, dramatically got reduced because they, like, hired these actors to sort of, like,
That's pretty cool. I mean, in
yeah.
Mexico City too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So things like that, and then also, I mean, I can't help but think of the feasibility study that was just done, and I mean, I don't have a specific question directed toward that, but this idea of like a
Have they even seen it?
yeah.
I mean,
Ever heard of it?
Are you familiar with it? What's your opinion?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, what are your top 5 feasibility studies? Yeah, so like thinking, I think maybe one of the more exciting parts of that, or potentially exciting parts of that, is funding for a I don't know if we're calling it like an art space or like a maker space
An
or an
incubator.
incubator space, things like that. But sort of like digging into their familiarity with the feasibility study and maybe like what they might be inspired to sort of like take from that and move forward with during their term.
That's definitely something they need in
Yeah,
advance
right.
so that
Right.
they can get familiar with it.
Yeah, that's true. I'd be interested in their sense of the relationship between the town and the university in terms of art spaces. Do they understand that, townspeople can't just go in and use the university space? What do they see as the identity, the difference between the identity of the university versus, the town, artists, musicians? Like, where's that line in their mind? Because I want to make sure they know there is a line. I don't really care where they think the line
Sure,
is. I just
right.
want to know that,
Right.
that they recognize me.
Yeah, and I'd be curious to kind of build off Elliot's question from earlier about like what the role of the arts is a lot of the feels like a lot of literature kind of dances around whether it's instrumental or intrinsic. Like, is it designed to accomplish a certain purpose, like create more economic development or, you know, create more safety, or is it the intrinsic benefits of like building identity and like increasing well-being, those more amorphous things? Like, where do they see the role of the arts more so?
Mm-hmm.
And how would that translate into practical
Right.
Yeah, into policy.
policy? Yeah.
For sure.
So should some of this, I don't know how they're being primed for their opening statements. Is there something that we can encourage them to address in an opening statement?
We can certainly encourage that, yeah.
And then, you know, which is a general, ongoing nurturing of our projects, relationship or partnership with the BAC, you know, future growth, funding. It's such an integral part of our identity as Bloomington, recognized by us, which is why we live here, and the rest of the state. I mean, and prime them so that then these more specific questions get into the nitty-gritty.
For sure.
Yeah.
How long is this event going to be?
2 hours?
So I
2
think,
hours?
yeah, they're setting aside an hour and a half, 5:30 to 7, and I think the goal from the meeting I was at today is they want to dedicate, I think, a little less than the first half to the statements and the like moderated questions, and then the second half to the audience questions. So it's like they really want to leave a lot of space for the people who are in the room. What sort of gets me to my next point is that, I mean, I know this is going to be a Tuesday evening, but I think one thing that they really want to encourage people to show up and to be there, because if they don't, I mean, they should know it already, but the arts community here in Bloomington is it is a sizable and vocal and motivated voting bloc, a diverse voting bloc, but like, you know, one that they definitely have to take seriously. And so I think it would be really great to have as many people there as possible in the room, but I think also specifically members of the Bloomington Arts Commission there at this forum. I think would go a long way to emphasizing that point. So if you all can make it, that would be great.
Do we know what time it is? I think you said.
5:30 to 7 on April 11th at the Waldron Arts Center.
And we don't know what they're being primed to talk about in their individual presentations.
Nope. The plan right now is the task force that I'm a part of right now is we're collecting all this stuff from our various kind of groups, and it's going to be sent over to them, I think, early next week.
Okay.
Some questions for them to consider, and then also kind of like the format, I think, for it. So yeah, anything that we want to send to I'm not communicating directly with the candidates. I'm communicating with the people who are like leading this event, and then they'll kind of like take what we've suggested, you know, take what they think works more broadly, and then
Yeah, the people who are organizing this have had individual conversations with all three candidates, and they're all very, you know, if you've been at any of the little events at people's homes or anything about it, I mean, this is a subject that's very much on their minds. Each one has a little different approach, which I think is our purpose is in seeing how different the approach is. But I think they're pretty primed. I put it that way.
yeah. Okay, well, because this is like, I just got looped into this pretty recently, and the event is, I think, about a month away, and they want to give the candidates a good amount of time to sort of like do the research and really prep for this event. They're hoping to, I think, send a draft of everything early next week, which means we need to get our stuff to them like tomorrow or at the very latest early Friday. So if anything else comes to mind, or you thought of maybe a specific way to word something, or other things that you want to maybe have them consider for their opening statements, shoot me a quick email and I'll add it into my notes, and I'll plan on sending that off here probably in the next 24 hours.
So I know Constellation is hosting it. Who were the organizers?
I believe it's actually the Arts Alliance, I think.
Oh, fun. Okay.
Yeah, Henry. Yeah, it might be Arts Forward as well. I actually don't. I forget my ignorance on
Arts
this.
Forward is now rolled into
Okay.
the Arts Alliance.
Okay.
So basically, they had a meeting the other night, and it's basically, it really is almost all the art groups in town consists of Arts Alliance right now.
Good.
So it's pretty general, and it's just, this is a good opportunity to early on make a statement of how important artists and the individual art groups, not necessarily university art, to all three candidates, so they're actively thinking about it.
Yeah.
And the point that somebody made before about affordable housing, is affordable housing for artists is good and integral to the health of our community. And I think that's a really great point that needs to be made.
And affordable workplaces.
Exactly.
Okay.
Sorry.
Excellent.
Yeah.
This has been great.
Does that assume artists are poor?
I would say that's.
I am at least.
I'm sorry, there's such a blanket statement, you know.
I think that's just from
Infer
where like,
that
that
on it.
feasibility study came up, but there's just so many, the lack of like affordable space to be an artist in this town was really prevalent in
And I
that,
think,
so.
Rob, too,
It's safe to assume, I think.
Yeah, but Natalie's saying, I think I work a lot with like emerging artists, and we have the grants. There was 70 people who applied, or over 70 who applied for the Emerging Artist Grant. I think what I hear, like people outside of IU, there's like, I mean, you might be all right, but then to have a maker space, a studio, are there affordable spaces for that? Not necessarily. So I think it's like kind of maybe people who aren't as successful, who are trying to get their start. That's kind of where that statement comes into play, I think. Just
It'd be good to qualify then
Yeah.
for emerging artists, for incubation, for,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah, but, and I think on the other hand, though, a lot of structures exist that they expect artists to give away stuff for free, their time, their stuff, you know, that.
For exposure.
Right.
Aren't you
Right.
fortunate to perform this in front of us?
Okay, excellent. Well,
George.
Can we just one quick note on that? I don't know, I'm sure that it'll be like covered and stuff, but some of this has come up before in some of my like arts management classes in undergrad, but it would be nice to see like a comprehensive like list of those questions and maybe some of the answers after. I just know that like so many, like this comes up in a lot of mayoral like candidate runs and things, but having that just like publicized and those answers available to the public. I don't know if there's any way that we could like promote them.
Invite
The minutes or like just
invite the press.
yeah, invite the press.
B Square Bulletin covers it all.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I don't know if that task force is like thinking about other ways to get those answers out after the
Are
fact.
you going to be their
but
guest?
I don't know.
Cats
Yeah,
is
Cats is like me.
Well, you could send a little list over to the organizer and tell them we would like, maybe they would send these to the candidates prior to this, and tell them we hope that in their remarks they'll address these issues.
yeah. I think there are plans to record it. I can't say in exactly what sense, but
Yeah.
yeah, there are plans to record it.
Cool.
Okay, cool. Well, if there are any other notes, just so we can get through the rest of the agenda, please email them to me, and we'll get this stuff over to them. Awesome. I'm going to gloss quickly over the finalizing commissioner welcome packet. It's in pretty good shape, but we're I think now that hopefully we don't need it for a little while, but I think once Christina and Rob have had the chance to look over it and maybe provide some feedback, I think it would be great to sort of like touch that up, finalize it, and just and have it in a spot that it's good to go for the next round of new commissioners.
You need to.
Okay. So a thing I've added to the agenda now is this. It's this item that's called upcoming events and important dates. Don't have a ton to say on it today, but I've added a new doc that's going to highlight sort of like upcoming important events that one might be just like interesting to the people on this commission, but two, that would also be great to have commissioner representation there. So, you know, this would be events for particular projects or emerging artists that we funded. The things that I have on it right now are the mayoral candidate discussion on April 11th. April 16th is Burning Couch Festival, which is the music fest that Music Industry Creatives is putting on at Switchyard Park, which is partially funded by the Bloomington Arts Commission. So it's a document that everyone should have access to. You can add things to it because there's, you know, we don't always find out directly when these things are happening, and we have to kind of discover them for ourselves. So this is a live doc that you all can add and contribute to. And then I think in particular, if you know that you are going to or would like to attend, there's a column that says, you know, commissioners to attend. Actually, it says commissions to attend. Yeah. There you go. Commissioners to attend. You can like just kind of sign up, so to speak, and sort of let the group know that, hey, like I'm going to be here. So that's.
I just added one.
What is it?
The artist party.
Cool. Artist party. Woo-hoo. Awesome.
Date still TBD, but.
Yeah. Watch that space. Okay. Moving on to commissioner announcements. Let's go ahead and go around the table, and everyone that has something to announce, go ahead and say it. Anyone got anything exciting coming up?
The artist party, the next one will be in April, I think April 18th. So the artist party is something that we started last year. We've had 3 so far. The first one we had like 70 people, the second one we had like 80 people or vice versa, and then the third one we joined forces with the Cook Center and IU Arts and Humanities Council, and we had like 150 people come through. So
That is awesome.
so it's like as we were kind of talking earlier, like emerging artists or established artists or any sort of like barriers, we just wanted to like stop having so many silos in the arts world here. And so it's like a place, just literally a space to like bring artists together, or people in the art world, art admin, gallery, business owners who want to do public art, literally anybody, but it's artist focused and oriented, like a space for them to connect. And so it's a very exciting thing. Downtown Bloomington Inc. is our sponsor. They give $500 for 4 a year. We're going to do it quarterly, but IU gave money for the first one, so now we're going to have 5 this year. And so I think on a Tuesday in April, that will not be the 11th, to avoid that event, we'll have the artist party. So if you want to, I'll let you all know the date. But they've been really successful, and I hope to see you all there at the next one.
So the snacks and beverages is a...
Yeah, it's all free. It's completely free. Yeah, just having, you know, making it a party so people kind of want to actually come to network and whatever. It's going to be in the 4th Street Garage, where the One Drop show that Holly mentioned earlier is going to be on view. And it's just kind of like a pop-up gallery in the new parking garage on 4th Street.
It'll be in the storefront.
In the storefront, yeah, sorry. Yeah, thank you. There's a storefront underneath, and it's going to be like
heated, and there are lights and everything.
If it rains, we're fine.
Yeah.
But it's going to be
Really
there.
gotta sell it
So.
when you mention that space, yeah.
But yeah, the idea is to go to like different organizations or galleries or performance venues, even a bar, just to like bring people into like an art space in Bloomington. So
Can we
it's
give
like,
the storefront a name?
It's a temporary storefront.
But, I mean,
I think it's called-
anyhow, I just think
I like the name.
storefront.
I like the name, the storefront.
I've thought about giving it a name. I just have not had bandwidth to creatively brainstorm. So if anyone has ideas, send them my way.
yeah, we just call it the 4th Street Garage storefront. Or
Yeah, that's good.
that's what we've been doing.
I'll quickly note that before our next meeting, we'll have the April 1st Thursdays. That's going to be taking place April 6th. Hopefully we'll get a beautiful, nice, sunny April spring day, and it will be out on the Fine Arts Plaza that is around Showalter Fountain. There's going to be stuff going on in the Ashkenazi Museum, in the Grunwald Gallery, in the Lilly Library, and then all around the plaza and down 7th Street. You know, the event has grown so much in the last few years. We now have, I think, over 3 dozen artists that sell there in Artist Row, and I think over 50 partner booths, and then we'll have 2 stages of performances. So April 6th, 5 to 8 p.m. That's going to be awesome. And then we've since gone public with our grand balloon announcement. That's going to be in early June, and I'll kind of I'll save announcements for that event. But just we're continuing to make announcements and solidify dates and key guests. So a lot of exciting things going on in the IU Arts and Humanities Council.
I will say for anyone who knows folks with kiddos or has a kiddo themselves, girl, trans, or non-binary youth specifically, Girls Rock Bloomington's summer camp registration is opening this Friday. And there are, I'm not sure how many slots, I believe we're looking at around 20 to 25, but they fill up pretty quickly. So that is something to look forward to. And the camp is actually July 17th through the 21st, but registration's open. The age range is 8 to 14. 8 to 14-year-olds. So yeah, great time. And then my intern Han has been working really hard on a pop-up gallery that'll be happening in our space, opening March 30th. It is the title of it is Bloomington Asian Artists Gallery, and it's a kickoff for Asian Heritage Month. And there will also be an Asian lit reading featuring, I believe, 7 local Asian authors and poets. So.
What's that?
Cook Center.
Center. Cool.
Yeah, on the 30th.
Put that on the list.
That's all I've got.
Just making some notes. Anyone else? Announcements? All right, and I don't believe we have any members of the public present today, so I think we can move past the public comment section of the agenda. So with that, I motion to adjourn the meeting. Can I second on that motion?
Second.
All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you all.